He cried out for Jesus, and the crowd told him to be quiet. Have you ever felt like your desperation for God was misunderstood? Like you were reaching for Him with everything in you, but the voices around you told you to stop? Maybe you've prayed through tears, only to hear people say, "It's not that serious." Maybe you've lifted your hands in worship, only to be met with judgmental stares. Maybe you've cried out in faith for a miracle, only for others to mock you for believing. But what if I told you that Jesus heard that cry? That He saw your faith? That He stopped everything just to answer? Today, we're going to talk about a man who refused to be silent. A man who didn't care what others thought. A man whose cry for Jesus changed everything. And if you've ever felt like your faith was too loud for the world, this message is for you. In Mark 10 verses 46 to 52, we meet Bartimaeus, a blind man sitting by the roadside in Jericho. He had nothing, no wealth, no status, no sight. But he had one thing that changed everything: faith. When he heard that Jesus was passing by, he didn't hesitate. He cried out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And do you know what happened next? "Be quiet," they scold him. "Stop shouting." They wanted him to stay in his place. They wanted him to accept his situation. And isn't that what the world does to us? When you start praying, they call you too religious. When you start believing for something greater, they say, "Be realistic." When you cry out to Jesus, they tell you, "Settle for what you have." But Bartimaeus, he refused to be silent. He shouted even louder, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And then Jesus stopped. Think about that. The Son of God, the Creator of the universe, stopped because of one man's cry. How many people were in that crowd? How many needs surrounded Jesus? How many voices were calling out? But Jesus stopped for Bartimaeus. Why? Because faith gets his attention. The same people who tried to shut him up now had to help him to Jesus. When God calls you, the very people who doubted you may have to watch you walk into your miracle. And then Bartimaeus did something radical. He threw off his cloak. That cloak was his identity as a beggar. It was his security. It was his past. But when Jesus calls you, you don't hold on to the past. You run to Him. What is Jesus calling you to leave behind today? Doubt, fear, addictions, toxic relationships. When Jesus calls, you let go and run toward Him. And then Bartimaeus did something amazing. Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" Why would Jesus ask that? Wasn't it obvious? No, because God wants us to speak out our faith. And Bartimaeus did. "Rabbi, I want to see." And Jesus said, "Go, your faith has healed you." Bartimaeus blinked, his eyes widened, and for the first time he saw. He gasped, looking around in wonder. Then, overwhelmed with joy, he followed Jesus down the road. His faith made him whole. The same Jesus who stopped for Bartimaeus is passing by right now. Are you willing to cry out? Are you willing to keep believing even when others tell you to stop? Are you willing to throw off everything that holds you back and run to Him? Because Jesus is listening. He hears your cries in the midnight hour. He sees your tears when no one else does. And He is ready to stop for you. But will you call out? If you believe that Jesus still answers bold faith, type in the comments, "I will not be silent." And if this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it.